There's a kind of pain that doesn't scream. It doesn't slap or sting or even raise its voice. It just leaves you out. That's the kind of pain I lived with for years, the kind you feel in the silence between your name being forgotten and your chair never being pulled out. My in-laws didn't hate me, not outright. They were too polite for that. Too gracious. But their brand of cruelty came with a smile, passed across dinner tables and holiday cards like it was tradition. And for a while, I took it. I told myself it wasn't worth rocking the boat. But boats only float when everyone's invited aboard. And I'd been swimming alongside theirs long enough. So when it came time to plan the annual family vacation, a tradition they loved, with matching shirts and an overload of itinerary emails, I saw an opportunity. A chance to either carve my name into the wood of this family, or watch it all drift away from the shore without me. And I took it. But before we get to the part where I canceled the whole thing, where I pressed that final button and let the tower fall, let me tell you how we got there. My name's Jordan. Married to Elise for 7 years. She's the kind of person people just like, warm, funny, charming in that effortless way. Her family. The Whitmans. Not so much. At least, not to me. From day one, I was an outsider. At the engagement dinner, her mom handed out family heirloom pins to everyone at the table, except me. Said she forgot mine at home. Never got it. At our wedding, her dad gave a toast that included the words, "We weren't sure about Jordan at first, but Elise always did like a challenge." That one got a lot of laughs. The family vacations were the worst of it. Every year, Elisa's parents, her 2 sisters, Lindsay and Tessa, their husbands, and now a growing army of nieces and nephews would pick a destination and rent a massive lake house, beach home, or mountain lodge. I was always invited, technically. But the actual planning? The group chats? The vote on destinations? I was left out every single time. Every year it was the same. They'd send Elise the final details and ask her to fill me in. Every year, I found myself third-wheeling in my own marriage while they made jokes I wasn't part of, scheduled activities I wasn't told about, and took family photos where I was mysteriously missing. One year, they all went out for a fishing charter and left me behind because they thought I wouldn't be into it. I'd have loved to go. They never asked. I never said anything. Because Elise, God love her, she saw it, but she also loved them. And I didn't want to be the reason she stopped. So I smiled. I took the pictures. I bought the groceries. I played with the kids. I made myself useful. Because when people don't want you to belong, being useful is the only currency you've got. Until this year. Because this year, Lindsay was pregnant, and Tessa's husband got a new job, and Elise had her hands full with work, and suddenly no one wanted to organize the trip. So I volunteered. I still don't know if it was bravery or pure burnout. But I stood up at Easter brunch, raised my glass of orange juice like a toast, and said, "Why don't I take care of the vacation this year?" You could have heard the silverware pause. But then Elise smiled wide and said, "That'd be amazing, babe." And just like that, I was in charge. I planned everything. Booked a stunning house by the coast, 5 bedrooms, ocean view, private pool, 2 golf carts, and a little guest casita just for me and Elise. I organized the catering, the transportation, even the damn kayak rentals. Every confirmation was in my name. Every receipt, every lockbox code, every reservation, all mine. And still, they barely acknowledged it. 2 weeks before we left, I sent a full itinerary. Lindsay responded with a thumbs-up emoji. Tessa asked if I could switch one of the nights to accommodate a baby's nap schedule, never said thank you. Elisa's mom replied to Elise directly with a list of things she wanted changed. Never once addressed me. Fine. Let them pack their bags and forget who made the house ready. Let them step into comfort they didn't lift a finger to create. I'd already made my peace. Then came the breakfast. The morning we were supposed to leave. Everyone was meeting at a local diner before the drive out, a tradition. I got up early, grabbed my bag, and headed down ready to join them. And found the table half empty. Chairs scraped back. Plates scraped clean. They'd gone without me. Elise came in, still tying her shoes, and looked up surprised. "Didn't they wait for you?" I didn't answer. Because I already knew. They never waited. That was the moment something in me clicked. Not snapped, just clicked into place. I walked upstairs, sat on the edge of the bed, pulled out my laptop. And canceled everything. The house. The rentals. The catering. Gone. I sat back. Closed the screen. And waited. Because this time, they were the ones who'd be left out. There's a certain satisfaction in silence, especially the kind you create yourself. When I hit that final, cancel reservation, button, I didn't yell. I didn't cackle or fist pump. I just sat there on the edge of the bed, hands resting on my knees, breathing in the stillness. It felt clean. Not petty. Not angry. Just done. Downstairs, Elise was grabbing her travel bag. She hadn't noticed anything yet. She was humming, actually, this little off-key tune she always did when she was in a rush but trying to stay upbeat. "You ready?" she asked. I nodded. "Yeah. Just about." And we got in the car. We were supposed to caravan, 3 SUVs, packed to the roof, kids with snacks and headphones, moms with coolers full of sandwich fixings and passive-aggressive to-do lists. I'd gotten up early that week to load the family spreadsheet into everyone's shared drive. Assigned rooms. Parking spots. Even included weather forecasts and tide times. I knew exactly how much they'd rely on it. So as we pulled onto the highway, I waited. At first, it was normal. Group chat buzzed with texts. "Tessa, ETA is 2 hours out. Hope traffic's light." "Lindsay, ugh, forgot the white cheddar popcorn. Tell the kids I'll pay in ice cream later." "Mom, Elisa's, can someone make sure the lockbox code works before we unload?" I watched the texts pile in without responding. And then, about 30 minutes out from the house, came the first crack. "Lindsay, tried calling the rental. They said our reservation doesn't exist." "Tessa, what? Check again." "Mom, Elise, ask Jordan to resend the codes. My email's not working." I didn't flinch. I kept driving. Elise glanced over at her phone. Something's up with the check-in," she said. "That's weird." "Might be a glitch," I said, staring straight ahead. "Tech these days." Then Elisa's phone rang. It was her mom. "Hi, Mom, yeah, what?" A pause. "That doesn't make sense. Jordan booked it." Another pause. Then, slowly, Elise turned to me. "They're saying it's cancelled." I stayed quiet. She blinked. "Jordan, did you cancel the house?" And right there, in that moment, in that tight little pause where she still believed I might say no, of course not, I looked her in the eye and said, "Yeah. I did." She didn't speak. Just stared at me like she didn't recognize the man sitting next to her. And maybe, for the first time, she was seeing the version of me I'd kept tucked away, the version that finally got tired of apologizing for being excluded from his own life. "They left me out of breakfast," I said. Calm. Measured. Again. That's not a reason to cancel an entire trip. I shrugged. Wasn't just breakfast. And just like that, her phone exploded. The group chat lit up like a Christmas tree on fire. "Tessa, what's going on? The rental company says it was cancelled by Jordan." "Lindsay, wait, are you kidding me? Who does that?" "Mom, Elise." Handle this. This is insane. Then someone dropped the ultimate nuclear text. Dad, so this is what happens when you let outsiders handle family business. Outsiders. There it was. No hiding it now. Elise read it. Out loud. Then very, very slowly, she put her phone down in her lap and stared out the window. We drove for another 5 minutes in silence. Then she whispered, I didn't know it had gotten that bad. I didn't respond right away. I wanted to be careful with my words. It didn't get that bad, Elise. It's been that bad. You just never wanted to look straight at it. Her eyes filled. She didn't cry. Not yet. But I could feel the shake in her breath. What do we do now? I looked at the GPS. We were 10 minutes from the exit that would take us to the now empty beach house. Or 15 minutes from the detour that could take us anywhere else. I don't know about them, I said. But we can still go somewhere. She nodded slowly. Okay. And then, for the first time in years, she didn't try to defend them. She just reached for my hand. We didn't turn off our phones right away. Maybe some part of us, her especially, still believed someone in that family might lead with grace. Might call and say, I'm sorry. Might admit that they'd been treating me like a footnote for far too long. But grace never rang. Only rage did. First came Lindsay. Voicemail. Her voice breathless with fury like I'd personally set fire to her baby shower. Jordan, are you kidding me? Do you have any idea how much work went into this? How much we planned around this trip? This is so selfish. You made this about you. As usual. As usual. Like I was the one who made me invisible. Then Tessa. You owe all of us an explanation. And you owe my kids a vacation. This is not how adults handle things. You seriously canceled a trip over a breakfast? And finally, the queen herself, Elisa's mom. Short. Cold. Surgical. You've made your feelings clear, Jordan. Believe me, we won't forget this. Elise sat next to me the whole time, watching the voicemails roll in, her face unreadable. When her mom's message ended, she just reached up and closed her phone. Quietly. Deliberately. I think they mean that, she said. I nodded. Yeah. I think they do. We'd pulled off the highway by then, not at the exit for the now vacant beach house, but somewhere smaller. Simpler. A roadside motel near a quiet stretch of coastline we hadn't planned on. It didn't have a pool or a wine fridge or a panoramic deck. But it had vacancy, clean sheets, and a view of the ocean through a rusted screen door. And in that moment, it was ours. We checked in without a word. Unpacked what little we needed. Ordered burgers from a takeout shack down the road. Then walked to the sand, barefoot, letting the tide smooth out everything we hadn't said. The sun was starting to fall, one of those slow, fire-colored descents where the sky seems to forget how to hold on to light. Elise stood next to me, arms folded, eyes fixed on the horizon. I didn't realize how far outside they'd kept you, she said. They never even opened the door, I replied. She turned toward me. Why didn't you say something sooner? I did. Just not loud enough. She nodded slowly. You were trying to protect me. Yeah. And I let you stand out there alone. There it was. Not an apology, not yet. But the beginning of one. We sat down in the sand, our backs to the world, and just watched the sun go. I don't know how long we stayed like that. Long enough for the tide to creep toward our feet. Long enough for the messages to stop buzzing. Long enough for me to feel, for the first time in a long time, seen. Not by them. But by her. Later that night, Elise asked me what came next. With the family, she said. I shrugged. That's up to them. I'm not chasing a seat at a table I was never welcome at. She looked down. And if they never invite you again? I smiled. Then I'll keep building tables where I am invited. She was quiet after that. Not distant, just thoughtful. She knew something had shifted. Not just in her family, but between us. The silence I'd held for so long had been cracked open, and now the air between us was real. Clean. No more pretending. Back in the motel, we sat on the edge of the bed, scrolling through the old group chat. Someone had finally changed the name of it, from Whitman Family Trip 2023 to just Whitman's Only. There it was. Their line in the sand. So I left the chat. And Elise? She left too. Without saying a word. We woke to the sound of gulls and cheap motel coffee brewing in the lobby, not exactly 5-star, but somehow, it felt like the first real vacation we'd had in years. No itinerary. No polite small talk over dry toast and judgment. Just air, ocean, and no one pretending to be someone they weren't. Elise was quiet that morning. Not distant. Just, turning things over in her head like puzzle pieces that no longer fit. We sat on the tiny patio outside our room, sipping that bitter coffee, watching joggers go by like nothing in the world had imploded. Then her phone rang. Her dad. She looked at it for a long time. Let it ring once. Twice. Then answered. Hey, Dad. I couldn't hear his voice, just hers. And it started calm. Polite. But I watched her posture change with every sentence. Her shoulders rose. Her jaw set. And then I heard it. No, Dad. You don't get to spin this like Jordan's the problem. That got my attention. She stood up, started pacing. No, listen to me. You all have spent years making him feel like a guest in his own marriage. Like a +1 to his own life. And I let it happen. I let it happen because I didn't want to make waves. But guess what? The waves are already here. She paused, turned away, then added, softer but sharper. He cancelled the trip because you left him out of breakfast. You left him out of everything. Every photo, every vote, every joke. He was never at the table, and you think he's the one who burned the house down. Another pause. Her voice broke a little, but not from tears, from fury held too long. No. Don't you dare say we're family. Family doesn't treat people like that. You wanted him to be invisible, and he finally said no. That's not betrayal. That's a boundary. Then came the longest silence of the call. And finally. Well, I guess this is where we find out if you love the version of me who stays quiet, or the one who speaks up. Click. She sat down. Hand shaking just slightly. I didn't say anything. She didn't need comfort. Not right then. She needed someone to witness it. After a minute, she looked at me. I think that was the first time I ever raised my voice to him. I nodded. How do you feel? She let out a slow breath. Lighter. Scared. Like maybe something just broke that can't be put back. Or maybe, I said, something that was broken finally stopped pretending to work. She leaned into me. Not collapsing, just resting. We spent the rest of that day doing nothing special. Walked along the beach. Shared fries from a paper tray. She laughed, really laughed, for the first time in weeks when a crab darted across her foot and made her yelp. That night, we got a text from Tessa. So I guess this is the new reality now. You pick him over us? Elise didn't respond. I asked if she wanted to. No, she said. Because that question says everything. They didn't want a relationship. They wanted her allegiance. And they just found out they didn't own it anymore. We sat on the motel bed, both of us still sandy, still sunburned, still raw, but something was different. She turned to me and said, "You know what the saddest part is? I thought keeping the peace would protect something. But all it did was protect their comfort. Not mine. Not yours." I reached for her hand. "You're not alone anymore. Not in this." "I know," she said. "And for once. I think they finally know it too." The motel was never meant to be a destination. Just a layover. A pause button in the middle of a mess. But when we pulled out of that gravel parking lot 2 days later, part of me didn't want to leave. It wasn't about the view or the food or even the freedom, it was the quiet. The clarity. The fact that, for the first time in years, I felt like my marriage belonged to us, and not the shadows of Elisa's family's expectations. When we got home, the house felt different. Not colder, just more honest. Like something artificial had been peeled away and the walls could finally breathe. The group chat was quiet. The Whitmans had gone radio silent. Not because they were done, no, this family didn't quit drama, but because Elisa's call with her father had drawn a line in the sand. And they were regrouping. We unpacked slowly, together. No rush. Elise moved through the house like someone who just returned from war, tired, changed, but still standing. 2 days after we got back, the apology came. Sort of. It was a voicemail from Lindsay. "Hey. I've been thinking. I probably said some things that were too harsh. I didn't know it had gotten that bad. I guess I thought, you were fine with how things were. Or that maybe you didn't care. I don't know. Anyway, sorry, I guess. Hope you're okay. Sorry, I guess." The kind of apology that's more about her feelings than mine. That asks for closure without offering change. I played it on speaker. Elise sat across from me, her face unreadable. "Want me to respond?" I asked. She shook her head. "Not yet." That afternoon, Elise got a call from her mom. She didn't answer. Then her mom texted, "If you're going to throw away your family over a tantrum, I hope he's worth it." Elise didn't even flinch. She just showed me the screen, then typed back 2 words. "He is." That reply hit like a silent cannon. Because this wasn't just about the trip anymore. It wasn't about the missed breakfasts or the excluded votes or the family photos I was never in. It was about respect. And how they had spent years denying me the one thing every human being deserves, a seat at the table without having to beg for it. We didn't hear from them after that. Not for a while, at least. The silence wasn't peaceful, but it was honest. And in that honesty, Elise and I started building something new. She sat me down one night with her laptop open. "I want to plan our own trip," she said. "Just us." "Where to?" "Doesn't matter," she said. "As long as we don't have to shrink to fit into it." We booked a weekend up in the mountains, just a little cabin, some hiking trails, a fireplace. No itinerary. No judgment. And this time, she made the reservation. In my name. There was no grand resolution. No teary reunion. No family therapist tying it all together with a lesson about understanding. What we got instead was space. Space to stop trying to earn something that should have been freely given. Space to stop asking if I belonged, and start deciding where I wanted to. Space for Elise to stand on her own, not as a Whitman, but as a woman who'd finally drawn a boundary and meant it. And for me, it was the first time I realized that sometimes, peace doesn't come from fixing the broken thing. Sometimes it comes from walking away from it, and not limping. It's funny how you can live so long trying to earn a seat at someone else's table, and never realize, you could have just built your own. That's what Elise and I finally did. After the dust settled, after the silence from her family stretched from awkward into permanent, we stopped waiting for things to return to normal. Because honestly, normal was just another word for quiet resentment. The kind that looks polite in pictures but leaves bruises behind your smile. So we made new plans. Thanksgiving came first. That had always been a Whitman thing, matching aprons, a kid's table that somehow still included me, and her mom's dry turkey that everyone pretended was gourmet. But this time, Elise said, let's do our own thing. We invited a handful of people who had never made us feel small. Friends who showed up when the group chat turned ugly. My sister, who had always quietly kept her distance from Elise's family out of what she called emotional allergies. A couple from our neighborhood, the ones who dropped off wine the night after everything blew up and just said, you deserve better. I made the turkey. Elise made the pie. We played music, drank too much wine, and laughed over dishes that didn't match. No assigned seats. No judgment. No politics. Just people who chose each other. And in the middle of it all, I looked over at Elise, hair tied up, apron smudged, barefoot and glowing from the oven, and I thought. This is what it should have been from the start. A few weeks later, we built a new table. Literally. Found an old slab of reclaimed wood, sanded it down together, stained it by hand. It wasn't perfect. The legs were a little uneven. One edge had a crack that ran right through the center. We filled it with resin and left it visible. Like a scar, Elise said. But prettier. That table became our anchor. Every Friday night, we had dinner there. Just us, sometimes others, never with rules. It became the place where we laughed, fought, forgave, made plans, drank tea on quiet mornings, and watched storms roll in through the kitchen window. We stopped talking about the Whitmans, eventually. Not because we forgot. But because they stopped mattering. They didn't come back around. No dramatic apology. No change of heart. And truthfully, that was fine. Because healing didn't come with their permission. It came with our decision. One night, maybe a year later, Elise said something I'll never forget. We were sitting at that table, candles burning low, dishes pushed to the side, her legs folded up in her chair like she always did when she was full and content. I think, she said, I used to confuse love with approval. I thought if I could just keep the peace, they'd see me. See you. But the truth is, you only find real peace when you stop asking the wrong people to give it to you. I reached across the table, took her hand, and said, you found it. And she nodded. So did you. We didn't need a family vacation that year. We had something better. We had home. Built from scratch. Built with intention. Built around a table with no head seat, no missing chairs, no secrets tucked under the place settings. Just room for everyone who belonged. And no room left for anyone who didn't know how to act like it.